Hello, welcome to the Union Pacific Railroad Geneva Subdivision. My name is Darrell Cruz, owner and builder of the layout and your host for episode 10 of season 2020. This is an operations video on an Autorack train, the AMIGB. A for Autorack, MI for Milipas, California, which is the origination of this train, and GB for the Gibson Yard in Hammond, Indiana. We are traveling through Clinton, Iowa. We just emerged from the West Staging Yards, and from Clinton, Iowa, we are now crossing the Mississippi River and heading into northern Illinois. I'm doing something a little bit different with this video. I'm adding some photographs to help you see a little bit more of the layout in focus, and you can see a little bit more detail. So this is what it looks like when you're actually at the layout and looking at it, and you can see there's a lot more in focus, from things that are close to you to things that are far away. So the depth of field in a photograph is much greater than what you will have on videos. Videos are great in that you can see the operations and the movement of the trains, but the depth of field in videos is not really very good. So today I'm going to be interspersing some photographs so that you can see the layout with a little bit better depth of field, which is what it looks like when you're actually standing trackside. So we're traveling across northern Illinois through some cornfields, and now we're entering Franklin Grove, which is the first city of Illinois that we go through. There's a couple of granaries here in Franklin Grove. You have the Consolidated Grain and Barge, which we went through. And then right here you have Pilsner and Sons. As I said, there's lots of cornfields in northern Illinois, so you will see a lot of grain storage facilities. From Franklin Grove, we're heading now towards Rochelle, and this is Global 3. And I've switched over to drone view, which I usually do when I'm videotaping Global 3, because the main line is behind the yard. And so if I have it on a tripod and at the right angle, you can't really see a lot of the train. So with the drone view, I can get the camera out over the layout and be able to see not only the yard, but then also the train as it travels past the yard. Now, as you can see here in the yard, there's a train that's been assembled, a CN train that's ready to depart eastbound towards Chicago. In fact, it's a higher priority train than this Autorack train. Here you see another picture of Global 3 and the train going past Global 3. Since the CN train is a higher priority than this Autorack, as the Autorack approaches Rochelle, we will need to come to a stop at milepost 78 so that the double stack train from Global 3 can pass through and cross over in front of us and continue on its way toward Chicago. Now we lose sight of the train here a little bit. I have a bunch of trees there, which is common in northern Illinois. You'll all of a sudden have a group of trees, woods as you might say. But I put them there mainly to hide the 180 degree curve that I have here to kind of break it up. So as you can see, we're slowing down as we get to Rochelle proper, and we're going to be coming to a stop at milepost 78 where there's a crossover, and we're going to be allowing the double stack train, the CN train from Global 3 to pass us up and cross over in front of us so that it won't be delayed by an oncoming westbound train. Alright, we're stopped. First thing we need to do is, of course, turn on the ditch lights. And then we are now ready to take the crossover from Global 3 onto the main line. Now this is a CN train, but as you can see, it's headed up by a UP train. On the Geneva subdivision, the signaling system is set up with cab signals. So if there's ever a train that's traveling along the Geneva subdivision, there's always a UP locomotive that's added to the front of it so that the engineers can be able to see the cab signals as well as the actual signals along the main line. So this is a Canadian National train that's heading from Global 3 to Chicago. And the UP locomotive will be there from here to Proviso, where it will be then uncoupled, and it will continue as a CN train for the rest of the trip. I'd like to share with you a little bit about the locomotives that we're seeing here. The lead locomotive on this particular train, the Union Pacific train, is a Scale Trains C44-9. And these run very, very nice. I had a little bit of trouble getting the decoder settings to match with the Digitrax decoders that I have on most of my other locomotives. The decoder on the Scale Trains is ESU, and the default settings had the back EMF set very, very strongly. So if you set it at 40, the motor turned at 40 no matter what. And so I had a lot of slippage of the wheels when I ran them with Digitrax decoder locomotives. Here's another photograph. But anyway, I was able to figure out the settings on the ESU units to better match the Digitrax, and so they just run great together with Digitrax. So that's a Scale Trains in the lead. And then the CN units, I believe, are Gevos, and they are made by Fox Valley. And they are also very, very nice locomotives. I've always been very happy with Fox Valley, although they haven't come out with much lately. So as you can see, the train crossed over from track 2 to track 1 so that it can continue without stopping the rest of the way. And there is a double stack that's going to be coming westbound. So the Autorack train stopped to allow the higher priority double stack CN train to pass it up and cross over in front of it. And once the double stack train is through, then we'll be able to continue with the Autorack train. Now we're looking at Rochelle proper here, and just down the line there is the crossing with the BNSF. One cool thing you might notice about this view here is the road that the semi-truck is on. As it continues into the backdrop, there's a photograph there of the actual road in Rochelle that it makes it look like the road continues into the backdrop. And then there's trees so that you can only see that photograph from a controlled angle so that it looks correct. So the CN double stack train is passed, and now the Autorack train gets to clearance signal to proceed, and it will continue now eastbound toward Chicago. Now these two locomotives are both I take that back. The lead locomotive is a C44-9, and it is also by scale trains. The second locomotive is a Cotto unit, and I believe it's a AC4400. It is a locomotive that I have had for quite a while. It's one of the few hand painted. I got that locomotive as a undecorated unit. Here's another photograph going past the railroad park in Rochelle. This is an area I just worked on. Again, notice the photograph at the end of the road. That's the actual photograph of that road in Rochelle. This railroad park area turned out pretty nice. I still am waiting on some locomotives to put in for the display locomotives. I ordered some from Shapeways that I think will work out pretty well. Back to the locomotive that I hand painted. I bought it undecorated, and then I hand painted it and decaled it, and you can't really tell too much on the video or photographs, but I painted it just a little bit lighter shade of yellow to so that it would represent some of the UP locomotives that have been out in the Southwest for quite a bit and have a faded paint. So it's a little bit, if you see it in person, you can see that it's a little bit faded. All right, so we went through Rochelle, and now we're going across the Rock River. You also saw a part of area that I'm working on right now. You saw some white plaster and some roads that I'm currently working on. Now from the Rock River, it goes through a wall, which represents about 70 miles of skipped trackage, and we go straight into Wheaton, Illinois. Now that siding there, I'm going to take that out. Don't like the track arrangement there, so that siding is going to be coming out. This is where the train station will be in Wheaton, and of course a road going across the tracks. But in place of that siding, instead I'm going to have a siding here on a warehouse district. So I have one warehouse there. There's going to be a big one plus another one or two smaller ones. I'm going to maybe combine them all and have a big warehouse area here with a siding to drop off and pick up boxcars and reefers. And then you saw a little siding on track 2. So there'll still be 2 sidings, but I won't have that one in the corner. Instead, we'll have a warehouse siding. So here we're continuing eastbound towards Chicago, passing a double stack train. That's the one that the other train was trying to avoid. Looks like we have a yellow signal. Now we have yellow here instead of green because we're coming up on Proviso where we need to stop and swap out power. So the signal is indicating that we should go ahead and slow down because we're going to be entering the yard here in just a bit. Before we get to Proviso, though, we are going through Elmhurst. There are no industries here in Elmhurst, but there is a metro station. There's a hobby club here in Elmhurst in one of the basements of those shops there. The Elmhurst Model Railroad Club, I think it's called. From Elmhurst, we go through another wall that's hidden by an overpass on one side and trees on this side. And now we're coming across, or coming upon, the Proviso Yard. That's Mannheim Road, I believe, overpass there as we come into Proviso. You can see the yellow signal on the bottom aspect, which means we're going to be crossing over from track 1 of the main line into the arrival departure track of Proviso. So we're going into the arrival departure track there. Now there's a crossover there that would take us into the classification yard drill track or lead track, but we're going to go straight from there and go into track 2 of the arrival departure tracks. As we come into Proviso, you can see there's a train there ready to depart westbound, and manifest train. Once we get this Autorack train fully in the yard and stopped, the manifest train will be able to head out westbound. You can see a couple of Norfolk Southern locomotives there that are waiting to take this Autorack train on the rest of its journey to the Gibson Yard. Gibson Yard is in Hammond, Indiana, and the Union Pacific does not go into Indiana at all. It terminates here in Chicago. So this train goes as far as Proviso Yard, and then the Union Pacific locomotives will be cut out, and the Norfolk Southern locomotives will be used to continue the journey from Proviso to Hammond, Indiana, and the Gibson Yard. So we slowly come to a stop here at the Proviso Yard. And since we're in the yard, we can go ahead and turn off the ditch lights. And we're now ready to swap out engines so that the Autorack can continue on its way. Here's a final photograph of the locomotive and the train in Proviso Yard. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Make sure you stay tuned for part 2 coming up. Always remember to enjoy the greatest hobby in the world, model trains, especially in N scale. Have a great day. Take care.